At 68, Dwight Yoakam has never been louder, clearer, or more surprising. After years of rumors, half-truths, and whispered industry tales, he's finally opened up, and what he revealed didn't just rattle Nashville. It sent shockwaves through the entire country music scene. The rhinestone cowboy everyone thought they knew, turns out, he's been carrying a secret so profound, it's reshaping how fans see his legacy. For the first time, Dwight isn't hiding behind lyrics or stage lights. He's telling it all, and nothing about his journey looks the same anymore. Decades ago, Yoakam wasn't the icon we know today. He was just another outsider with a guitar, grinding through 5-set nights in rowdy bars where fights were part of the backdrop, and applause had to be earned. Nashville didn't want him. The industry dismissed him. But Dwight wasn't chasing approval. He was rewriting the rules from the edge. When country was leaning into polished studio sounds, he was dragging it back to its dusty, rough-edged roots. His honky-tonk grit didn't fit the formula, and that's exactly why it worked. He showed up to Music City in the 70s ready to conquer, only to find the doors bolted shut. They didn't want energy. They wanted polish. They didn't want a performer. They wanted publishers. But Dwight took that rejection and turned it into rocket fuel. He built his reputation brick by brick in the dive bars of Los Angeles, away from the commercial machine. And when his debut album, Guitars, Cadillacs, etc., exploded in 1986, it wasn't just a chart-topping success, it was a revolution. That album didn't ask for attention, it demanded it. It was Bakersfield meets punk energy, tradition infused with swagger. Songs like Honky Tonk Man and Guitars, Cadillacs weren't just catchy, they were a statement. Country music could be raw, real, and rebellious again. The album went double platinum and launched Dwight from smoky bars to national stages. It was the sound of someone who never compromised, and now the world couldn't get enough. But fame didn't dull him. It didn't make him safe. If anything, Dwight got bolder. One of his most jaw-dropping career turns came when he teamed up with alternative icon Beck. Yes, Beck. This wasn't just a quirky collaboration. It was a full-blown artistic detour that shocked fans and defied genre lines. Together, they recorded parts of his 2012 album, 3 Pairs, and it was Beck who pushed Dwight to break habits, to take risks. During one session, Dwight played a raw electric guitar take, planning to redo it. Beck said, "Leave it. Perfection isn't always the point." That moment reignited something in Dwight: spontaneity, risk, and the fearless honesty he built his name on. Beck didn't just change his sound, he reshaped Dwight's vision. Songs like A Heart Like Mine became emotional time capsules, capturing the kind of unfiltered truth that had once made him a legend. Suddenly, Dwight was reaching new audiences: indie rock fans, younger listeners, people who never set foot in a honky-tonk. But instead of alienating his base, this evolution deepened his credibility. He wasn't chasing trends, he was reclaiming the raw spirit that started it all. And with that spirit came serious wealth. But Yoakam never lived like a typical celebrity. While he owns prime real estate in Los Angeles, including a secluded mid-century mansion tucked into the Hollywood Hills, he's never flaunted excess. His garage? Think understated luxury. A vintage Cadillac Eldorado restored to mint condition, a limited edition Porsche 911 Turbo S, and a blacked-out Mercedes G-Wagon. His modern nod to rugged glamour. His watches? Rare and refined. He's been seen sporting a Rolex Submariner, a Patek Philippe Calatrava, and occasionally a gold Cartier tank that nods to his old-school flair. But Dwight's real genius has been behind the scenes. Unlike many artists who burn through fortunes, he invested smartly. He co-owns a music publishing firm that has quietly amassed a catalog of high-value rights. He's also a partner in several boutique hotels in the Southwest, properties that blend cowboy heritage with 5-star amenities. On top of that, he holds equity in a whiskey brand that has taken off in recent years, all while licensing his songs to films and television for steady, passive income. What really sets him apart financially, though, is his protection strategy. Yoakam reportedly has layered insurance coverage, a rare but smart move. His policy portfolio includes health coverage for touring-related risks, career protection insurance in case injury prevents him from performing, and asset insurance on both his instruments and properties. His vintage guitar collection alone is rumored to be insured for over $2 million. He's managed not just to build wealth, but to safeguard it against against the unpredictable world of entertainment. And here's where the real lesson lies. Dwight Yoakam didn't follow a blueprint. He made his own. He stayed true to a vision others rejected. He learned that evolving doesn't mean abandoning your roots. And when the moment came to diversify, he did it quietly, strategically, and without compromising his values. If there's one takeaway from his journey, it's this: authenticity, when paired with smart financial moves, doesn't just survive in Hollywood, it thrives. Yet for all the highs, Dwight's story isn't without shadows. Recently, in an unguarded interview, he opened up about years of quiet grief, the personal losses, the friendships that crumbled, the toll of staying fiercely independent. Fans had always seen the cool, collected performer, but now they were seeing the man who carried decades of pressure without complaint. "It wasn't the rejection that broke me," he admitted. "It was the loneliness of being right when no one believed you." That confession hit hard, because for all his swagger, Dwight Yoakam had been walking a lonely road, and now he was finally letting others walk with him. From sold-out arenas to silver screens, his talent has never fit into one box. His breakout role in Sling Blade as the explosive Doyle Hargraves stunned critics and proved Dwight's artistry wasn't confined to country chords. He didn't just act, he transformed, capturing something raw and unforgettable. That role opened doors, but he never overreached. He chose roles that mattered, stories that challenged him, not just paid him. And yet, something deeper was happening. Yoakam wasn't chasing fame. He was chasing truth, through whichever medium allowed him to tell it. One moment he was on stage crooning to sold-out crowds. The next he was inhabiting characters so layered, it was hard to separate where the role ended and Dwight began. His performances were never loud. They crept in and lingered. That quiet intensity gave his roles a weight that Hollywood rarely gets from crossover musicians. It wasn't just acting, it was storytelling, pure, unvarnished, and raw. But behind the scenes, that same integrity was beginning to stir tensions. Long before he landed in courtrooms, Yoakam had already fought one of the boldest battles of his career. Not on a stage, not on a set, but in the heart of Nashville itself. The city that birthed country music had no idea what to do with him. While everyone else leaned into the polished sound of the urban cowboy era, Dwight resurrected the ghosts of Bakersfield. Tight jeans, glitzy jackets, and a hat pulled low. He looked like trouble and sounded like rebellion. And Nashville? They weren't ready. Imagine this: country's most iconic institutions trying to box in a man who refused to color inside the lines. Yoakam wasn't interested in chasing approval. He took his music to rock clubs in LA. Let that sink in. While other country stars begged for radio airplay, Dwight was headlining gritty venues on the West Coast. He built a fan base on authenticity, not compromise. And when he finally released Guitars, Cadillacs, etc., Nashville had no choice but to notice. That album didn't just chart, it shattered expectations. It was a declaration of war, and Dwight Yoakam won it without ever raising his voice. But not all victories last forever. Yoakam's partnership with guitarist and producer Pete Anderson had once been the very definition of synergy. Two visionaries, two rebels. Together they made magic for nearly 2 decades. Anderson didn't just produce Yoakam's albums, he helped sculpt an entire genre-blending sound that continues to inspire new artists today. But in 2004, the music stopped. Anderson sued Yoakam, accusing him of breaching contract and canceling performances that cost thousands in lost investment. What fans saw as harmony had long been unraveling behind closed doors. The lawsuit revealed not just a disagreement, but a fracture in trust, business, and creative vision. The two settled quietly, but their silence was louder than any statement. They never worked together again. Dwight, now steering his own production, began crafting his albums solo. The sound evolved. Sharper edges softened, but the storytelling, always that, remained. And in that shift, Yoakam didn't just lose a collaborator. He became a one-man creative force, wielding full control over his musical destiny. Yet just as one legal fight ended, another erupted, this time against one of the most powerful entities in the music world, Warner Music Group. It was 2021. Dwight Yoakam wasn't a struggling artist anymore. He was a legacy name, a pillar of country music's alternative evolution. But when Warner allegedly refused to return ownership rights to his early recordings, Dwight fought back. It wasn't about money, it was about ownership, history, and respect. He argued they'd continued to profit off his catalog without his permission, violating a law designed to give artists a second chance at controlling their own work after decades. This was more than a contract dispute. It was a moral stand. Yoakam wasn't just defending his past, he was protecting future generations of artists from signing away their legacies. Though the case was settled privately in 2022, industry insiders speculated it forced Warner to adjust how they handled legacy catalogs moving forward. It was another quiet victory for a man who's never liked shouting to be heard. But behind the litigation and the defiance, there's the story that doesn't make headlines: Dwight Yoakam's rise into one of the most financially savvy legends in entertainment. From outsider to empire builder, his career arc is a masterclass in long-game thinking. At the peak of his music success, Yoakam's net worth was estimated at $10 million. But he didn't just stash it, he invested it. Smartly, strategically. Today, his estimated net worth is around $25 million, with projections suggesting it could climb toward $30 million in the next 5 years. Especially with ongoing royalties, licensing deals, and a growing audience discovering his catalog through streaming platforms and film soundtracks. A significant portion of this wealth lies in his real estate investments. Properties spread across California, including a high-value estate in the Hollywood Hills and a secluded ranch in Malibu. Combined, his real estate holdings are estimated to be worth over $12 million alone. And the lifestyle? Tasteful, understated, yet unmistakably high-end. Yoakam has been spotted over the years with an impressive collection of vintage and luxury cars. Among them, a classic 1960 Cadillac Coupe de Ville and a sleek black Bentley Continental GT. On his wrist, he's favored timeless watch brands like Rolex and Panerai, often pairing them with his rugged, retro Western fashion, a look that somehow makes luxury feel lived in. Unlike other celebrities who flaunt jets and yachts, Yoakam's style leans more toward refinement than flash. He reportedly owns a fractional share in a private jet program, allowing discreet, flexible travel without the extravagance of a full-time plane. What's most compelling isn't just the material, it's the evolution. Dwight Yoakam went from honky-tonk rebel to multimillionaire icon without ever compromising the grit that defined him. His journey is a reminder that the road less traveled often leads to the most lasting legacies. And if you thought the lawsuits and feuds dulled his fire, think again. Dwight Yoakam had always been a risk-taker, but few could have predicted just how far he'd go when he stepped into the chaotic world of independent filmmaking. What started as a dream project turned into a financial and emotional crucible. South of Heaven, West of Hell wasn't just another Western. It was Yoakam's full-bodied creative gamble. He wrote it, directed it, starred in it, scored the music, and poured his own money into it when outside investors walked away. And just like that, the man who once redefined country music found himself drowning in debts and doubts. Critics didn't hold back. They called it disjointed, self-indulgent. Audiences stayed away. But here's the twist. This so-called failure would become a defining chapter in his story, the kind that separates those who play it safe from those who bet it all on vision. That gamble came at a price. The financial aftermath was brutal. Yoakam didn't just lose money, he lost longtime collaborators. Lawsuits followed, management ties were severed, and trust within his inner circle fractured. One close associate later called it a masterclass in ambition colliding with reality. But through the wreckage, Yoakam kept his silence. No dramatic tell-all interviews, no public breakdown. He let time do the talking. Looking back, the film now holds a strange allure, part artistic misfire, part cult curiosity. A reminder that in Hollywood, even when you crash with a camera rolling. And yet, from the wreckage of that project, Yoakam's resilience sparked a second act, one built not on regret, but reinvention. While his directorial ambitions may have stalled, his acting career took off like wildfire. After chilling audiences as the violent Doyle Hargraves in Sling Blade, he continued to stun with performances that ran the emotional gamut. In Panic Room, he was unrecognizable as the silent, terrifying Raoul, a far cry from the honky-tonk singer fans had known. And if that wasn't enough to prove his range, he flipped the script again with a surreal, offbeat role in Wilfred, portraying a psychiatrist who seemed plucked straight from a David Lynch dream. Few actors transition as seamlessly between menace and comedy, between intensity and absurdity. Yet Yoakam did just that, effortlessly. Each role added a new layer to his identity. But here's the hook. It wasn't just acting, it was therapy. He admitted that taking on new personas helped him confront old emotions. Every character brought a new dimension to his songwriting, a new truth to his music. His craft became an echo chamber, film influencing song, and vice versa. That cross-pollination made him an even more potent storyteller. Still, beneath the creative breakthroughs, financial challenges lingered. Its earlier career was marked by chart-topping records, sold-out tours, and lucrative endorsements. Pouring millions into a failed film took a serious bite out of his fortune. His net worth, once estimated to be well over $25 million during his commercial peak, dipped significantly in the 2000s. He scaled back, restructured, and quietly, strategically, he rebuilt. Today, his net worth hovers around $20 million, with projections suggesting a climb thanks to his diversified ventures. His real estate portfolio alone tells a story of smart reinvestment. He owns a Spanish-style compound in the Hollywood Hills, valued at over $6 million, and a peaceful getaway property in Tennessee, strategically chosen for both personal retreat and long-term appreciation. And then there's the automotive side. A lifelong car enthusiast, Yoakam has owned everything from a vintage Ford Fairlane to a Ferrari California T. His taste for the classic and collectible isn't just about flash, it's investment savvy. The same applies to his high-end watch collection, reportedly anchored by a Rolex Daytona and a limited edition Patek Philippe, each chosen for both craftsmanship and resale value. Behind the scenes, Yoakam has also played a quiet but aggressive hand in business. He owns partial stakes in a niche whiskey label, has inked distribution deals with independent music platforms, and retains ownership rights to several early albums, a gold mine in the streaming era. And when it comes to protecting his empire, he's no slouch. Industry insiders say Yoakam holds multiple insurance policies, one covering his vocal cords, another safeguarding his assets, and a third tied to potential tour cancellations. It's a fortress built not just on creativity, but calculated defense. What can fans learn from Yoakam's journey? Here's the takeaway. Diversify, stay grounded, and never put your ego above the spreadsheet. His failure with South of Heaven, West of Hell taught him, and us, that passion alone isn't enough. But recovery? That's built on discipline and patience. It's a powerful lesson wrapped in rhinestones and guitar strings. As he moves through his late 60s, Yoakam refuses to be boxed in. Radio show Dwight Yoakam and the Bakersfield Beat has become a space for forgotten legends and fresh voices. He's mentoring the next generation, handing down the history of country music like a sacred manuscript. And while he's hinted at more acting roles, possibly even stepping behind the camera again, it's his role as a cultural steward that may become his most important yet. What truly makes Dwight Yoakam stand out in an industry obsessed with image is that he's never cared to follow the rules. He blends the past and future like few others, making old-school country feel current and cinema feel like confession. It's this rebellious consistency that keeps his fan base not just loyal, but growing. As streaming services introduce younger audiences to his music, his Spotify streams have quietly surged, proof that authenticity never goes out of style. And with his presence now expanding into fashion collabs, podcast guest spots, and potentially a memoir in the works, the next chapter of Yoakam's life feels less like a slow fade and more like a renaissance. The world may have forgotten his failed film, but they remember the man who kept creating, no matter the cost. So here's the final twist in the tale. Dwight Yoakam isn't just surviving, he's thriving on his own terms. He's not chasing hits, he's crafting legacies, not chasing youth, but celebrating experience. In a business built on hype, he's carved out a career defined by heart, risk, and relentless self-belief. Just like his best songs, his story lingers long after the final note. Ready for more stories that reveal what really happens when the spotlight fades? Hit that like, drop your thoughts below, and stick around. There's always another legend, another twist, just around the bend.